Hello everyone, I'm Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IAS English. In our today's video, we'll try to understand why have summers arrived into India early this year. Now, the reason why we have picked up for this topic for our today's video, you need to understand that last month in the month of February, which is usually associated with cool winter days, this year the days in February became unusually warm. So much so that the temperatures they were 8 to 13 degrees above normal. So whenever temperatures are so far away from normal, these are usually categorized as a heat wave condition. Now, if you remember, such similar situation happened in the month of February even 3 years ago. But let me tell you the fact that such early arrival of heat in the month of February itself is very rare. So in our today's video, we'll first try to understand what are the reasons behind why was winter not so severe this year and why has summers arrived into India early this year, and then we'll try to understand how this early onset of summers in India has an impact on different sectors of our economy, particularly the sector of agriculture, which is very important from our country's food security perspective. Okay, now the notes which I will be using in our today's session, in case if you want to download them, you can go to a particular Telegram channel called as ETS Live. And while you're at it, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel also. So let us understand the first reason why has summers arrived into India early this year, and this can be attributed to unusual dry winter this year. Now, unusual about the fact about this year's winter was that it was relatively dry, so much so that the all India rainfall in the month of January and February was 60% below normal, and February this year was third driest since 1901, and this has been because of lack of favorable conditions that we'll understand today. And not just the rainfall, but even the snowfall that happened in the hilly regions of our country, particularly the Himalayan states, they were subdued this year. And this can be attributed to lack of adequate amount of western disturbances. Now, it is the western disturbances which causes rainfall in the winter months in the north and western part of our country. Now, what are western disturbances? Western disturbances are basically east moving rain bearing systems which picks up moisture from the Mediterranean Sea. Now, this picture will help you understand how weather or the western disturbances work. Western disturbances originate where? They originate in Mediterranean Sea, and this is where they pick up moisture and move eastward towards India. So they travel through Iran and gradually bring rainfall in the north and western part of the country, and this is very essential for the growth and irrigation of important food grains like wheat. So this was very less this year, and that is why the amount of precipitation or the rainfall in India in the months of December and January were inadequate. So this is the first reason that can partly attribute why summers have arrived into India early this year. Similarly, the second factor is absence or lack of moisture. Now, whenever there is a moisture present in the wind system, it gradually allows the sun to evaporate those moisture, and it does not lead to drastic increase in the temperatures. But when moisture is absent, you need to understand this brings early arrival of summer. How this works, let me explain it to you. First of all, before the arrival of monsoon into India in the months of June and July, there is a pre-monsoon shower. Now, this pre-monsoon shower happens because westerlies arrive from Arabian Ocean. They bring moisture from Arabian Ocean into the Indian mainland. Similarly, easterlies, they bring moisture from Bay of Bengal. And these two rain-bearing winds, they converge over Indian subcontinent system, which brings rainfall. How this brings rainfall, let me understand you. Now, moist westerly winds, they take moisture from Arabian Sea. Similarly, moist easterly winds, they bring moisture from Arabian Sea into the Indian subcontinent. So whenever these two wind systems, they converge, it leads to upliftment of the moist air. This upliftment of the moist air gradually is what results into precipitation before the official arrival of monsoon season into India. Now, when this early precipitation happens even before the monsoon arrival, it reduces the surface heating and it keeps the temperatures in the Indian subcontinent relatively moderate. Now, this convergence of westerlies from Arabian Sea and easterlies from the Bay of Bengal has not happened in Indian subcontinent this year. So what would have happened in case of convergence? It would have reduced surface heating and it would have kept temperatures moderate. But since this phenomena did not converge into Indian mainland, it led to minimal or no monsoon rainfall, and that is why it was not able to reduce surface heating, and that is why you feel the average temperatures this year has been relatively warm as compared to last year. Okay, so this is the second reason, that is the lack of moisture. But the most important factor that can actually bring more intense amount of summers this year in the Indian subcontinent can be attributed to the phenomena called as El Nino. Now, there has been a new data that has emerged, particularly from the European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecast. This forecast has said that India and other parts of the globe may experience a super strong or a ultimate strong El Nino, which has the potential to be one of the strongest in recent decades. Now, El Nino, you need to understand on a very brief note, it significantly alters the weather pattern, not just in the Pacific Ocean, but even in India. And this has the potential to bring intense heat and unusual monsoon behavior even in India. So how this happens? Let us understand this. Now, El Nino, La Nina, etc., which you may have heard of multiple times, they are part of El Nino Southern Oscillation weather phenomena. Now, to understand the unusualness of the ENSO weather phenomena, that is El Nino, we need to understand how weathers are like during the normal time period, right? So, during normal conditions, what happens that the trade winds which blows from west towards east, that is from the western coast of South America towards the coast of Australia, these trade winds are responsible for taking warm waters away from the western coast of Pacific Ocean, and because of that, the cold waters which are present in the depths of ocean, they come over the surface. This is called as upwelling of cold water. Now, this upwelling of cold water is what is the normal condition like in the western part of the southern American continent, right? So, this is the normal condition where trade winds push the warm surface waters away from the western coast of South America, and this leads to appearance of cooler water near South American coast, that is upwelling of cool water. Now, this usual conditions called as normal conditions actually gets disrupted when El Nino happens. So what happens during El Nino is that the trade winds, they become weaker than usual. So when trade winds become weaker than usual, they are not able to take the warm waters away from the western coast of the Pacific Ocean. So when warm waters are not moving away from the western coast of Pacific Ocean or the South America, it leads to appearance of warm water in the western coast of South America, which is break from the usual. What was usual? It was appearance of cold water here, but now it is appearance of warm water. So it actually, what it does, it increases the temperature in the central and eastern Pacific Ocean significantly. So what happens? This part of the globe, central and eastern part of the Pacific Ocean, they become warmer than usual. So this is when El Nino develops, and this is the characteristics of El Nino. Now, El Nino not just disrupts the temperature over the central and eastern Pacific Ocean, but it also affects regions like Indian Ocean and even parts of Africa, because these regions witness sinking air and that suppresses rainfall. And you need to understand, the amount of rainfall that happens in India directly depends on the temperature difference that exists between Indian mainland and the nearby water bodies like the surrounding Indian Ocean. So let us understand how it will impact rainfall in India. That is the development of a very strong El Nino-like condition. Now, during El Nino years, we have witnessed that it alters atmospheric circulation even near the Indian Ocean. So it weakens the monsoon winds that bring moisture from Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal. Now, more the moisture that comes from Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal, you need to understand more will be the rainfall in India. But when this moisture wind systems, they get weakened, less amount of moisture comes on Indian mainland and it naturally leads to less amount of rainfall. So therefore in India, El Nino events have historically been associated with weak monsoon rainfall, and as a result the temperatures would be hotter or more than usual. So this is how it negatively impacts rainfall in India. Now what you have to understand here, the immediate impact of such sudden spike in temperatures would negatively impact the Rabi crops. Now Rabi crops, which are usually planted in the months of November, they require multiple iterations of irrigation during the seasons, and usually it is the rainfalls which occurs from western disturbances and the convergence of westerlies and easterlies in the Indian subcontinent. It is what provides moisture to the Rabi crops. Now when amount of rainfall during these months have reduced, it would automatically negatively impact those Rabi crops, particularly due to the fact that close to 52% of India's total gross cropped area, these are rainfall dependent or these are rain fed. So crops like mustard, wheat, gram, groundnut, which are important crops essential for India's food security, they are dependent on the monsoon rainfall, and when monsoon rainfall is not adequate, their production would invariably suffer. Not just these cereals, but even vegetables like potatoes and fruits like apples are very essential for India's food security. And therefore, by the government, the farmers have been advised to deploy frequent irrigation system in order to maintain the soil moisture levels at the optimum level. Right. So what did we understand? The reason behind early arrival of summers in India is dry winters. Why did dry winters happen? Dry winters happened because of lack of western disturbances. Similarly, due to absence of adequate moisture in the Indian subcontinent, because the lack of convergence of the westerlies, which brings moisture from the Arabian Sea, and the easterlies, which bring moisture from the Bay of Bengal, the convergence did not happen, and as a result, moisture levels were not adequate. And when moisture levels are not adequate, rainfalls do not happen and temperatures become higher than usual. And the third condition is the possibility of appearance of a very strong El Nino. And as we understood, El Nino actually brings less rainfall into India and it leads to higher than usual temperatures. So these are the factors in play which has resulted into early arrival of summers in India and possibly more intense and more brutal summers this in India. Okay, now before we move to the discussion, you need to understand what might happen in the future. Now forecasts have said that there is a possibility of strong El Nino that could happen, and it is increasing the likelihood of heat waves across northern and central India, while it has also raised concerns about lack of rainfall or rainfall deficits this monsoon season, which might also impact the plantations and yield of the kharif crops in India. Similarly, a powerful El Nino could also push global temperatures to record high, and the last major event of El Nino, which happened in 1997, 98 and 2015-16, it triggered extreme weather worldwide, temporarily boosting the global warming level. So this is how it could impact not just India, but the occurrences of temperatures higher than usual worldwide. Okay, now before we move into the questions that have appeared in the UPSC exam, there is an important announcement. So what we discovered right now is the weather system, climatology, and these, how it impacts weather systems in India. Now the topic essentially is very important from geography perspective, but geography, in addition to history, polity as well as economy, are four main pillars of UPSC exam, in addition to many smaller subjects like IR, security, ethics, etc. To take admissions in our resolution courses, which provides lectures for all the subjects for UPSC, please go to our website. We have right now taking admissions for batches which are going to start on 26th of March. So you can take admissions to these batches. If you use the code ATS Live, you are going to get best deal that is possible right now for both 27 as well as 2028 batches. So students who are looking to give exams in these various, please take admissions as soon as possible and do not delay, because otherwise the batch would start and you'll miss out on important classes. Now, let us consider the question that have appeared in the UPSC exam in 2014. The seasonal reversal of winds is typical characteristic of which kind of climatic system? Do let me know the correct answers in the comment section, and the ones who are waiting to download the notes, you can go to this particular Telegram channel, which is where the notes will be made available. So this is all from my side. Please have a very good day, and I'll see you all again tomorrow, same time, same place.